Wow. Wow.
I like it.
Wait, ready? Everyone ready? I am so in love with you.
That was pretty good.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to 2G1C. Exciting episode. Look who's back. This is exciting. Everyone give it up for my favorite co-host, Mike.
It's been a minute.
This is awesome, dude.
Yeah.
This is fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to 2G1C. This is episode 11.
Is it really?
12 of the season. I know, dude. I've done a lot without you. I've gone on my own little tour with all my buddies. But now we're back in Florida, and we're going to be ripping some episodes, and I'm so excited, dude. What an incredible thing. This is our second season in Florida, and Mike is back. Everyone give it up. Let's go. Woo! Let's go, dude. This is fantastic. But I'll start it out with a little story today. So I think you guys all know we're back at Florida. There's a little bit of noise behind us. You can see the guys playing pool. I'm sure they'll be done soon. It is a vibe. We're back down here, Naples, Florida. We are caddies. We are carrying golf bags for guys.
Yes.
And today I had a very eventful loop. If you guys aren't familiar with caddy terminology, loop is when you do a round of golf, 18 holes. On my loop today, and shout out the other caddy, Kyle Henderson. He wanted me to shout him out today. It's very common for you to play a game called polies against the other caddy. Basically, in golf, I'm sure you guys are familiar, there's a flag stick, and you pull the flag stick when guys are making putts. Mm-hmm. If your guy makes a putt outside the flag stick, like lengthwise, you get a point. If you make it from off the green, that's 2. And then if you make a birdie, it doubles those points, okay?
Yep.
We were playing $5 polies, which means for every point you have, he makes $5, okay? And I got destroyed today. We got to hole number 2. Kyle's guy made a off the green birdie for 4 points. That's a $20 putt.
That's an expensive putt.
Dude,
yeah.
we get to number 8, and I'm like, dude, I'm going to buy out. I'm not going to make any more money. I can just see my guys. They aren't making putts. Look, I did a good job. I read some good putts. I know I'm biased. If I wouldn't have bought out for $20, I would have owed Kyle $70 at the end of the round today.
That's so tough.
Thank goodness I bought out.
What hole were you on when you bought out?
8. So we weren't even close to the end, dude. Yeah, so when I bought out, he was up 30, and I was like, dude, my guys aren't making putts today. They were great guys, very kind. They didn't lose their cool. It was great, but they were horrible putters. Yeah.
There's a lot of those.
Mike, how you feeling right now, dude?
I feel pretty good.
Dude, I'm good. It's good to be back. I'm so happy to be here. I have a ton of things I want to get into and stuff.
Can't wait.
But first things first, dude, we're back in Florida. New Year's. Okay, do you have any New Year's resolutions going into this new year? And then I have something I kind of want to talk about and get into.
You asked me that, and I said, you know what, maybe not anything specific or anything like that, but I think thinking about the new year kind of just make better of myself and my life and in many ways, and just make the right decisions, and with that should lead to a good year and to a better life, and I think we're at a good start.
Very profound. That's fantastic. And what day is it right now? Sunday the 4th. Okay. And I do have a challenge for you going into this new year.
Oh, okay.
But this is my thought on New Year's resolutions. Ready? And I'm going to clip this part of the podcast. I think without a true heart change, it's very difficult to make a change in your life. And I think to make that heart change, a couple things has to happen. 1, you have to kind of let Jesus into that space. And 2, you have to go through something difficult. And I think a lot of people try and make these changes without really not feeling the repercussions of their actions. And that's why New Year's resolutions fail, is because there is no true heart change. You know what I mean?
It doesn't matter if they go through with it or not.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
But my challenge to you, and then when you answer this question, I'm going to go make sure the camera's actually running. I'm almost positive it is. This year, for this New Year's resolution, I want you to read a book.
Sure.
Because we spend a lot of time down here, and there's time at the caddy yard, there's time at the Pearl, there's time at all these places, and you're always on your phone. And not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm not throwing shade. But I feel like if you read a
yeah.
book, I feel like it would be a great... You don't have to like read like anything crazy like the Odyssey or something, but
Sure.
maybe just like a book to like kind of center your thoughts and we can like talk about it and stuff. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, surrounded by, you of course you read quite a bit, and then I mean back at home even my sister reads all the time. She reads a lot of books, so I've always thought about it, but I've never like got back into it. I used to read very periodically, but
Yes.
like the past like was it 2026 now, so like 6-7 years I would say.
Dude, bro, you're... Stop.
I was being serious, but I know. I haven't like casually like read a book, which sounds awful.
Yeah.
Unless it was like for school or something.
No, but that's okay. That's okay. I have a story about reading books. Is when I was very young, I went to Grain Intermediate School, and I used to fly through books, dude. This was like before I got my phone. This is before I got whatever. I talked so much in class, and I got in so much trouble for just talking so much, but I would read a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, do you remember those like I Survived books? Where like they would
Like
go
this-
through like a shark attack or
Or
something.
like the tsunami in Japan.
Yes,
Or
exactly, bro.
whatever. Yeah.
And the book would walk you through how to survive those situations. Well, I remember I read one of these books and I was terrified. I was so terrified that something was going to happen, that I was going to be in like a shark attack or something and whatever. And so at school, I would always keep renewing this I Survived book. And I had it for about 5 months.
It's pretty good.
And because I was hoping that eventually she would just give me the book.
Mm-hmm.
As I was like, I feel like I need this in case something happens.
For survival.
Dude, yeah, bro. And one of the days, shout out Mrs. Kingen. I remember her. That was the intermediate school librarian.
Wow.
Do you remember her?
Yes, but I didn't remember her name.
And do you remember that little reading corner where there were the little green bean bags and that tree and you could sit in a tree in the corner?
Jacob's Corner.
Yes, dude, because he like died
He
or
passed
something.
away. He got, yeah.
And they made like a little corner for him in the library. Well, I was sitting in Jacob's Corner and I was reading through my I Survived book for like the 5th time in a row. And she comes over and she's like, Avery, how's it going? Because I would always try and be friends with the librarian, you know, because you're young and you want attention and all that. I'm like, Miss King, and I have to tell you something. I'm scared. She's like, honey, what's wrong? I'm like, I feel like if I don't have this book, something's going to happen and I'm going to lose my life. And there's going to be an Avery's Corner. And it's not
That's
going to
what
be
you said.
Jacob's Corner
That's what you
anymore.
said while sitting in Jacob's Corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like fake crying. She's like, honey, it's okay. You can just renew it again next week. And she never gave me the book. But
She didn't want that book going out of her paycheck.
no, dude. And basically, lately, I just finished reading a book called Relationship Goals that my girlfriend's mom gave me. And it was very fantastic. It talked about how keeping God in your relationship is important and how you do that. And it said you can find success in singleness, dating, marriage, and sex. But basically, read through the book, and what it kind of did is it talked about how a lot of the things that you go through when you're young influence how you see relationships later in life. You know what I mean? So if your
Yeah.
parents kind of split, you see a relationship with someone else as more malleable and maybe more it's able to be broken apart. And you don't see it as sacred as it normally is, because when you're growing up, you see relationships like your parents that have split, and it teaches you that relationships aren't as valuable as they really are. Does that make sense?
Feel like grow up in that environment.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, if that's all you know.
Yes,
Then yeah.
exactly. And so one of the chapters, it talked about soul ties. And what that is when you go through life, there are always things that will hold, you know, like when people say things hold a special place in their heart, whether it's a past boyfriend, past girlfriend, a substance, maybe like an addiction, that they tie themselves to because it was there for them in a time of weakness. and therefore it holds a special place in their heart for the rest of their life. Hear me out. And I think so many people going into their new year and all this stuff go back to soul ties that they've had from when they're very young. Like a very common, hear me out, a very common New Year's resolution is to lose weight.
Yeah.
Because they felt embarrassed or they felt whatever when they're younger, so they feel obligated to kind of change that later in their life. And I think like going into this new year for me, this book kind of let me look at where my soul ties are and where my value lays. And there are three things that I kind of found my worth in. First is Christ, and I think that's a very biased answer, but you can hear me out. When I was in first grade, okay, I was in Sunday school, and my high school teacher asked, is there anyone that would like to invite Jesus into their heart for the first time ever? I was in first grade. This is a very true story. And I was like, me, and then this one kid named Seth. I remember his name, but I don't remember like what he looks like or whatever. But I remember going out into the hallway and just praying that I accepted Jesus into my heart. And ever since that day, I've always felt like God has a place in my heart. I may have not always followed him, but I feel him there, okay? Second thing my soul ties in is I really do think golf is a soul tie in my life, because for so much of my childhood, we would always go golf all the time. And before my parents split up, I lived on Mayfair Golf Course. Mm-hmm. Okay, we had a big, beautiful home. And I remember when I was younger, my dad, we would wake up before I go to school. I was like in first grade, second grade. I would wake up before I go to school. And we would go practice golf. And then I would get home and I'd practice golf.
Interesting.
And then my parents kind of split up. And I think a lot of my purpose when I was so young was found in golf.
Right.
And I think now being a caddy on the other side of I couldn't be more happy. And it really does show me that like God does have his hand in my life, putting me in this space where I can be around the game every single day.
Yeah.
And my last soul tie that I've kind of found myself in is not really a thing, but it's like a lack of family. Is one of the things it talked about kind of in the book is it talked about how like the lack of something can be a soul tie as well. And I feel like finding camaraderie and finding people that really love me and care for me has been a soul tie of mine. And I think, shout out you, you've been my boy and you've been there for me. And I feel like you have been a clinical part of kind of finding that camaraderie, finding that whatever, like, so thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
First and foremost and stuff. But I think, going into this new year, my resolution, obviously it's not like a heart change and it's not whatever, but I think it's to be aware of what I really have my soul in, like what really controls me, you know what I mean? What I see as important, and stay aware of those things so I don't lose sight of what's important, you know what I mean? Like sure. A lot of these caddies, we talked about it today, and you can kind of talk about this a little bit. There's a lot of these guys that work like 4 days in a row, 5 days in a row, and they're like, oh, I need a day off, I'm so tired, you know what I mean? And I think like it's very easy to get caught up in like, I'm doing this too much because you compare to others, and I'm doing that too much and all this stuff. And like, I don't really get tired of work. Like I love going to work and I love doing all that stuff. And so why do you think like so many of these guys year after year, one, they come back to Calusa, okay? And then two, the second half of that question is, why don't you think they ever change? In the sense of like, and here's a good example, is these guys will show up every year, they'll sports gamble so much, right? And they'll lose all their money, and then they'll come back again next year and do the same thing over and over again. Why do you think like they're stuck in that cycle? You know what I mean?
Well, to start, like what you were talking about with them complaining about working 4 or 5 days a week, we've definitely heard that before.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey man, like I just need a day off.
Yeah.
Or like,
Correct.
can I just get a day off?
Yeah, and we're like, dude, we would kill to work every day
Yeah.
for the rest of the whole season.
And they work like 5 days straight, and it's
yeah,
like,
I'm like, that's awesome.
I'm like, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
And usually most days you don't even work in a full day's time,
Yeah,
right? Because as caddies you work 5 to 6 hours a day.
yeah,
So it's like
6 to 7.
Yep. So
6 to
it's
7 hours a day.
so you always hear people talk about that, and I don't know if it's just like because they want to like go do some or plans, or it's just like
Or they don't want to do anything.
They don't want to do anything, or maybe it's just the repetition of the day, because it kind of leads into the I've worked 5 days a week. I just do the same thing every day,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, I get it, because like
Like you were talking to the other caddy that you were with today,
yeah.
and he was saying stuff like that about how he.
And I'm just like trying to understand him. I'm like listening to him, right? And I'm like looking at him, trying to understand him, but I like just don't get it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, I would love to work 5 days in a row. I'd love to go out, do the same thing every day, wake up, go to work, and then go home and go to the beach or just nap or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. But he's like, I just do the same thing. I get up, I go to work, I go home, I smoke, and I go to bed.
And he's been doing it forever.
And I'm like, well,
and it's very sad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That he's as miserable as he is.
And then I'm like,
about it.
well, have you tried going to the beach, or have you tried doing anything like in the area? He's like, yeah, I tried that once, but it didn't turn out very well. And so I haven't done it since.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I'm sorry to hear that, but like maybe you should try again so you do something. If you're complaining that it's too consistent, nothing exciting happening, like you should try again, do something new again. And they just never do it.
Yeah. And they're like, yet they don't enjoy where they are, but they continue to come back every year. Why do you think like they're stuck in that cycle? You know what I mean? And do you think there's like a soul tie they have to gambling or just being complacent that they don't want more? You know what I mean? Not to say that you can't chase more being a caddy, because we do very well and there's so much opportunity. But why do you think there are so many people that are just stuck in that cycle that just don't choose to make a difference in their own life? You know what I mean?
Right. I mean,
I know that's like a deep loaded question.
I mean, like you can take it a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But like, there's obviously to caddying, there's tiers to it.
Yes.
Like there's like, you would understand. There's the Firestone tier.
Firestone tier, JV for everyone.
And
call
then
that JV. I love Firestone, by the way. There's great work out there. But
right. Like
Yes.
we started there. That's great.
That's our club in Akron that we work at.
There's always a special spot for that where you start. And
Yep.
then there's always better work elsewhere, whether that's Pikewood,
Yeah.
Calusa Pines,
Yes.
Trout National.
Yep. Shout out.
But those are like just different levels of what you do, I think.
Like you would say in terms of professionalism.
Professionalism and expectations,
Yes.
and with those usually comes better outcomes, such as better pay,
Yes.
better people you meet,
Yes.
in terms of maybe not just socially, even though that's true, but also just in terms of them being more successful financially and just higher status socially as well.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. And I think even at these different golf clubs that we've caddied at, there are levels in those clubs. Like,
Sure.
like at Calusa, there are loops that we get, that only first and second year guys will get.
Right.
And then there are loops out there at Calusa where only the fifth and up year guys will get.
There are
Because
some
they've
that
been there longer, and
Yeah.
that's kind of how this works, is the longer you're here, the better work that you're going to get.
there's some that feel so sacred because they've been with the same caddy forever. It feels like it's untouchable.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I'm never going to be on that loop.
Correct.
Because they've been with so-and-so for 20 years.
Yeah, and they've been
And it's like,
ridiculously successful when it comes to financial. I'll tell a quick story, and then we'll get back to your
Yeah.
answer. Is there's a caddy at Calusa who's been here for quite a while, and he's with this member all the time. This is his member. He never takes anyone else when it comes to caddies. He's always with this guy. This member bought the caddy a car. You know who I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
The 2026 Land Cruiser, Toyota Land Cruiser. It's a sick car. It's awesome.
It's a very nice car.
He bought him a car. Every time he carries his bag, I've heard, this is
Allegedly.
through the grapevine, he makes at least $800
on a single
every
bag.
time he carries the one bag. Just to say that there are levels to this job, and it is a real career. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this isn't just like when you go to the family reunion, they're like, "Oh, Avery, when are you gonna get out of caddying?" This is like a real thing that people do their entire lives, and they make fantastic money.
Right.
These guys make $200,000 in the span of 6 months. You wouldn't even believe that, carrying
Right.
bags. How is that even possible? But it's there. Back to kind of what you were saying is there are levels to it, which I think gives guys a sense of accomplishment, I think.
Yeah.
But why do you think they're kind of stuck in the same cycle of gambling and drinking and losing all their money, but they come back and they do it again and again and again?
Well, we've said this before. I think the culture of being a caddy and like being in a caddy environment is a very fratty.
I like that word. I would say I don't think it's conducive to good morals. I always say caddies are like modern day cowboys. They drink, they smoke, they go have intercourse, they go to work, and they do it all over again.
Which I think a lot of caddies mirror who they caddy for.
I love this. We're getting somewhere. That's fantastic.
I think that's what you're trying to get me to say.
Not to say that all caddies are delinquents.
No.
But what do you mean by they mirror guys they caddy for?
Well, if I was with Mr.
Smith. Keeping up with the Smiths.
That's right, so-and-so,
Yeah.
for X amount of years, let's say for 4 years, I'm with him 3 times a week.
Yep.
And every time I caddy for him, he gives me a cigar, he gives me a drink, he asks me about if I've made these bets, that bets,
Yeah.
whatever.
He's very nice to you.
He's open about his
Relationships.
open relationships, which
Yeah.
isn't a weird thing to say because it's very common.
Yeah, but it does happen.
And you kind of want to like, well, if I'm like this guy, if I'm like Mr. Smith,
Yeah.
maybe I could be the one golfing and I'll have a caddy carrying my bag.
Yeah. And I think that's a fantastic takeaway, dude. And, I think society sees these guys as so successful because they make all this money, which a lot of guys are very kind and they do a wonderful job of just being a great steward of what they have. But like you said, there are those guys out there where they talk about girls all the time and they talk about their sports bets and they talk about drinks and they talk about cigars and they talk about all these things. And I think kind of just like you said, like, if they do it that way, then maybe I should do it that way too. Yeah. And I think that's where a lot of the not breaking the cycle comes from is I think the people that we caddy for aren't that much different than us.
No.
Except for they've spent a lot of time building that financial wealth, finding what works, and then they have those vices. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think in the caddy world, a lot of those guys do it backwards in the sense of like they get the vices, but they never learn how to make that money and stuff.
Right.
And I think we have the opportunity to break the cycle. You know what I'm saying? As I think this year, New Year's resolution, another one, if the first one I even said even counts, is to save money and to be financially responsible. I think last season we came down and we weren't exactly delinquents about it, but we spent a lot of money on other people.
You're talking about the first time we came down?
Yes, last year. Like we flew a lot of people down. We paid for all their stuff. It was awesome, dude, and it's wonderful to give. But I think growing up a little bit, I think it's time to, as everyone says now, lock in. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think, there is an incredible opportunity to break the cycle and to make it out. You know what I mean? Like, how rappers always talking about making out, making out of the hood, all that stuff. I think there's such a great opportunity to make it out of caddying. You know what I mean? We make enough money to save, to be able to invest, to be able to go into different avenues and all that stuff. And I think it starts now. So kind of like I told you, my goal for this season is to save 20 grand. If I save fast enough, I'm probably going to push that goal to 25.
Why
which
not?
I think is very much doable.
Sure.
Very much doable. Last season, I looked at my credit card bill and I spent over $8,000 on other people coming down. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Which is like, is fine. You know what I mean? I love to give, and there's no part of me that would change a thing because you learn certain things and you do certain things. But I don't think that's going to happen this time around. I think with me having a girlfriend now, shout out Delaney, she's wonderful. I'm really starting to look at what I want my future to look like. You know what I mean? And there has to be a world where I save and I do all these things so I can provide and take care of her. And, you know, down the road of it, you know, we have a family and all that stuff. Like, I have to start at some point, and I want to break that cycle. You know what I mean? And kind of back to the whole soul ties thing. And that's what I kind of want to get into this episode is, you know, and we talked about this a little bit. There was an incident in Jersey where our buddy got into some fight that was supposed to live with us and all this stuff. I've talked about this on episodes before. And he came to you and he was talking to you about it. And he was like, Mike, I don't care. I'm so depressed.
Right.
And I don't care what I feel as long as it's not the depression. So he'll go and gamble and he'll go and drink and he'll go and do all this stuff. And I think being around all these other caddies, it's far more common than you would think. The whole depression, finding avenues to kind of distract you and all that stuff. Because I've been there in my life. You know what I mean? I think last year was kind of a good example where I'd spend all this money coming down here and stuff, but I wasn't really satisfied. You know what I mean? And that's why I think kind of having Christ and having that family dynamic, at least those great friends in your corner that want to see you succeed, that kind of satisfies that in your heart, that's so important. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Do you think I'm kind of spot on when it comes to like these guys trying to find something?
Right.
You know what I mean?
No, yeah, I agree. I mean, because everyone copes one way or another, and
everyone copes differently.
Yeah, and
like Erica Kirk.
Right. And
she grieves differently.
And like the friend we were talking about in Jersey and stuff, like he was being very honest, and I think what he said is very true. It could be very true. Yeah. Whether you liked how he does it or not, and obviously with what happened and stuff, trying to get, you know, not trying, maybe he was trying to get in trouble. I don't know, but like the way just to kind of distract himself from what he's feeling is like it's a very real thing. Yeah. Whether you like how he did it or not, like it was very honest, very genuine, and you kind of feel bad for him.
I know.
You know?
It stinks.
And, you know, I mean, I think there's always better ways to do it and stuff. But
what do you mean, like spend your time not being satisfied?
And being around people that are good for you, and like when you are with people, like we both want to make that savings goal or whatever, when you have two people doing it, it feels easier to get it done.
Yes, very much so.
And I think that could be anything from having financial goals to having a more stable and more uplifting and kind of just what I'm trying to look for, but just like help each other out mentally where you don't go out there and screw yourself over. To put it in a really bad way.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying.
I didn't say that best, but like...
Let me see if I get what you're saying. I think when it comes to... it's important to have someone else in your corner.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And I think like there's a quote by Arnold Schwarzenegger, okay? And one of the things he says is he's like, he was giving this speech in front of a college graduation or something like that, and he said, as soon as you realize no one on the planet is self-made, you're going to start to look for ways to help other people. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think with all the sports gambling and with all the drinking and with all this stuff, you know, I think our conclusions are correct where a lot of these guys search for that fulfillment. But it's not going to come from those things. And I think with those things, it gets worse. Like a lot of guys become liars. Yeah. Like, dude, what? I think we've heard this twice this season. Is this guy was like, yeah, I made 50 grand sports betting last year.
It's like, no, you didn't. And even if you made 50 grand, you're also down 150.
Yeah. And get this, I was looking, okay, hear me out. This is actually really cool. I was looking at like betting apps and all this stuff, and one of the things I learned was if you start to win a lot over and over again, they'll ban your account, okay? Or they will limit your betting sizes,
Sure.
okay? Have you seen that? Where like if guys win a ton,
Right, because they think they're using like an AI
yes,
something or something.
okay.
Yeah.
Some guys hit big parlays and they like hit these giant leg things and they make, you know, a couple $1,000s, okay? Hard Rock, it was like on this thing, and it was like a Reddit post, so like who knows how accurate this is, but this guy said they will cut you off if you make like, I think it's in a 1 month span, if you make over $5,000, they'll start to limit your account.
And that's not even like that much.
And it's not a lot, but it's like without losing. That's the part that like if you make all that money without losing, they will limit you. Okay. And I think if you're gonna go out there and say I made $50,000 last season, you know what I'm saying?
It's like I don't know what you're talking about.
Like stop. One guy told me 35 grand, okay, and then another guy told me 50, and then some guys say that they're just up overall, which.
No one's ever up overall.
If everyone in the caddy yard is up, then I feel like Hard Rock isn't making a lot of money. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then I think it kind of goes into that second stage of like the coping stage of like, then you start to compare yourself to other people. Like, oh, no, I'm not that bad because other people do this. You know what I'm saying? And I think as much as comparison can be the thief of joy, I think a lot of these guys can have false joy from that comparison. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like there's a caddy who lost his job at Calusa but is working at another club down here. It's the one that texted me this morning randomly. I told you about him. And he lost last year. I was talking to him. He's like, Avery, I lost $25,000 over the course of the season.
Yeah.
And I was in the yard the other day, and one of the K's was like, well, at least I don't do what he does. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It kind of brings yourself this false sense of joy of like, oh, I'm actually doing better than this person and this person and this person. And I think the way these guys get stuck in this like way of life, you know what I'm saying? Not wanting to make a change. It's not just a decision. It's the small amount of coping.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And then you hit that bet and you're like, wait, it's possible to make the money. But then you lose again. But then you're like, wait, I felt it once before. And I think it's a bunch of small decisions.
Sure.
And I think from our perspective, it's very easy to sit there and be like, man, I can't believe they do this. And I can't believe they've gotten to that point. But if you look at things in your own life, kind of those soul ties in your life that you have, a bunch of small changes start to lead to big life changes. You know what I mean? Like I feel like with, you know, the gambling thing and all that stuff, these guys are looking for something to satisfy their heart. You know, they have a tie to something that they can't get, you know, and I feel like, you know, for so many people, Christ in a friendship, in a community fills that hole. You know what I mean? And these guys don't have it. And I think, kind of like I said 5 seconds ago, as easy as it is to sit there and be like, man, I would never be like that, and I would never do that. One, we are in their spot. And two, like, everybody copes differently. You know what I mean? I think there are shortcomings that we have that we cope differently. You know what I mean? And maybe it isn't a better way to do it, but nobody's perfect, and nobody has it all together. If there's one thing I've learned from being around these guys that make all this money, that are so successful, you realize, one, they aren't that different from us, and two, nobody has it all together. No. You know what I mean? And remember when you were little and you walk around and you would look at the adults and you're like, wow, like they have it all figured out, and I revere them.
I can't wait to grow up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and be like them.
Yeah. And then you get there and our friends and stuff are starting their teaching jobs and they're starting all these things. And you're like, wow. Like, maybe like we're just a bunch of kids that have grown up.
Yeah, it doesn't feel much different.
That want to make New Year's resolutions.
Sure.
You know what I mean? That want to make change. That want to do all these things. And kind of the last bit of the episode is, I think, these guys are like yelling. I think to really make change in your own life, it's all about setting new habits and getting uncomfortable. And I think that's how you find out who you really are. Do your habits down here differ from your habits back home? Because you're on your own and you're kind of by yourself and you're away from that comfortableness that comes from your family?
I would say a lot of it's the same, and I know it's like, well, that can't be true, or that's just easy to say.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like it's all very similar, just because I feel like I've always been a little independent, even with having a sister and being with family and stuff,
Yeah.
and relationships and stuff like that. It's like, I mean, I'm still always been a little bit of an independent person, and kind of every once in a while I'll catch myself just doing my own thing, and all that, and obviously that's what we do down here. But like, I don't see a huge drastic shift in way I act or like go about things or anything like that, which maybe people might think, oh, that's an easy answer, but like truly, like, I don't know, like I feel like
You're just a saint. You're just better than everyone.
oh yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I see how it is, dude.
Yeah,
But no, I think you're right. I think your demeanor at home is very different. Or no, my bad, very much the same as it is here. But I don't think that prevents you from learning lessons.
no,
You know what I mean?
No.
I think you've learned more here than you have being at home.
Oh,
Obviously,
definitely.
because you're on your own and all that stuff. Like,
Yeah.
with our new roommate, Caden, you know what I'm saying? Not that he's a huge burden, because Caden's awesome and I love the kid.
Right.
But you can tell he's a lot younger than you and me. And
Sure.
I think, and I want Caden to be on next week, because I think me and him would have a good conversation and stuff. But I think he's younger, and, it's very interesting to see, like, he's very young, but his, like, habits that he has, like, are still, like, very, like, not formed yet. You know what I mean?
It's all very new,
Because
to be
this
on
is his first time kind of living on his own and all that stuff. Like,
Yeah.
like one of the first weeks we were here, and I know this, like, and it's not a big deal because you said it wasn't a big deal, but
No,
like,
it's not, no.
like we woke up one morning and Caden's towel and underwear were on your gaming desk, and I
Right.
was like, dude, are these yours? You're like, no. And then I like put them on the floor, you know what I mean,
Right.
for him to see and all that stuff. But
In hindsight, yeah, it's not a big deal, but it's just kind of funny.
Yeah.
And it's like, he doesn't get it. Like, it's not just like, it's all not just his room and stuff like that, but like, it's nothing like bad at all.
Yeah.
But it's just something funny to point out and see. So.
yeah,
And we were probably like that last year, because that was the first time we
yeah,
moved out and stuff.
yeah.
So,
Thanks. I hope that makes him feel better. I don't know if we were that bad. Who knows?
I don't think so.
We're also biased, but whatever. The kind of last thing, I want there to be a takeaway this episode and stuff, is I think there's a lot of people that say that this would be nice, but they aren't willing to put in the work to get there. You've heard that everywhere and all that stuff. One, to make a true change in your life, what do you think it takes? You know what I mean? Like, say you were a caddy that was kind of stuck in the gambling kind of cycle of life and, vices and all that stuff. What do you think it takes to get out of that? I'll start you with that, and then I'll ask you one more question. Or do you think there is a world where you would be able to get out of that situation? Do you know what I mean?
I don't want to say, I could totally stop gambling anytime I wanted to,
Yeah.
for someone who never really got into it in
Yeah.
the first place. But I think just to get out of it, just kind of by like, it's easier said than done, but like, just like, if you just like wake up every day and you remind yourself what your goal is, whether it's a bad habit or something, and you just start your every day kind of reminding yourself that, or if it's something you like physically do every day that you want to get rid of, like always just kind of go out of your way to make sure you don't do that bad habit or whatever you're doing. We're talking about gambling, but like, I feel like, again, sounds like, easy to say,
Yeah.
but I think there certainly can be ways, whether with people around you and with yourself, just kind of telling yourself every day, or writing it down, or reminding yourself on your phone with an alarm. Like, I think there are definitely ways that
I like what you first said when you said, like, the people you're around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's huge. I think it's easy for us to stay out of that kind of thing because we are around each other, and that's good company, and our goals are in the right place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And with the whole caddy to golfer like mirroring each other, I think people you live with, you also mirror off people you live with.
Yeah.
So if, I'm a degenerate gambler and it's always around Avery, maybe Avery will turn into a degenerate gambler too.
Correct.
Or vice versa, or whatever. So it's like,
Yeah.
That's just how kind of habits happen, I feel like, and are formed.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on. I think, and you've heard this a million times, and like the hustle culture narrative and all that stuff is show me your friends and I'll show you your future. You know what I mean? And I think with that, having good people around you that care, that want you to succeed, that want you to kind of move in the right direction, that's a key part of being successful. And like I said, I'm very thankful for you and Caden, and I think we have our heads in the right place. And I think going forward with our goal of saving money this season, it's a lot easier because we can do it together.
Right.
Yeah. So I think if you
Common
guys...
goals.
Yeah, so I think if you guys really want to make some New Year's resolutions and you want to kind of, make a difference in your own life, one, know where you stand. Know where your soul ties are. Know what is really important to you, and know what you're filling that hole with in your heart. And two, these guys are being so loud.
They're getting louder and louder.
Like, what is going on? And two, you can't do it by yourself. You cannot do it by yourself. I couldn't come down here by myself. You know what I mean?
I couldn't imagine that either.
Dude, do you know how much that would suck? And guys do it.
Some caddies live on their own.
And I couldn't do it, dude.
Yeah. And
I could not do it, man. And I think if you really want to make change, if you really want to come to a resolution, if you want to make that New Year's resolution, get a group of people. Get people to do it with you. Yeah.
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 I like it.
If there's anything left you want the two people to hear listening, I feel like we rambled a little bit, and I feel like if I'm not doing episodes every single week, they like feel a little different and I ramble and all that stuff. But if there's anything you want the people listening to take away, the one person still listening, I know. Thank you for being here. What do you want them to hear?
First of all, crazy that we're talking about being year 2 down here in Florida.
What an awesome thing. So blessed. What an awesome thing, dude.
That's a crazy thing to hear and
say.
say.
Oh my gosh, it's great.
And I think if you want to do something similar, whether move across this country like we did for work, or if you want to do it just because you need something different in your life, I mean, do it.
Most people do. I think it's a lot more common than you think. A lot more people need that big change.
Sure.
Yeah.
And this is year 2, so it feels a little different. But like, just thinking about where we were last year and doing our first podcast episode year 1, like we're doing for year 2 now.
Yeah.
And how we've probably changed from that point. It's just like we just couldn't believe we were here.
Yeah.
Last year.
Yeah.
Like around this same exact time, we were making an episode. First one down here, we're like, we can't believe we're here.
Yeah.
We're doing it. We left everyone, and like, it was. I mean, year 2 feels a little different, but it's just an absolutely great opportunity to have and great thing to do. And I wouldn't tell anybody no to do it.
Yeah.
Whether it's with their own goals or what they're trying to do.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be caddy.
No, it doesn't. It could be a vacation.
Yeah.
Or it could be their own work.
Yeah.
But I would totally do it.
Yeah.
I would encourage you to do it.
And take a friend with you.
That too.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike. That was dope. You know what I'm saying? I think we rambled a little bit, but
yeah, well,
this is for us. Screw everyone else.
That's what we do.
Yeah, bro. That's what we do. Yeah, but ladies and gentlemen, thank you. This has been 2G1C. I'm here with my best buddy Mike. I think I've played this. This is from We Play. Do you remember the Wii
with the tanks?
Yes.
Yeah.
And there was like a duck hunter game.
That's right.
Do you remember that?
With the
bro?
targets, yeah.
Dude, it was fire. So fire. We should go play some golf after this.
That reminds me, you had to shoot the cans. So hard to do.
Dude. Yeah, dude. And the can would like jump around.
Jump up.
And then you would shoot it and it'd jump back in the air. Yeah.
Just unlocked a memory.
But, ladies and gentlemen, do it with a friend. And I think last year we spent all that money and we did all that stuff, but it wasn't all for nothing because we learned a couple things.
Yeah.
Learned a couple things. So, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for being here. Happy New Year's, to New Year's resolutions and to doing it with others. You're not going to be able to make change if you don't do it with others.
Very true.
I dig this vibe.
I like it too.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been 2G1C with my boy Mike. Excited for more episodes.
It's good to be back.
We'll see you guys next time.
See ya.